Ho ho ho! La France! La France! Sorry. Had to introduce everything properly. In the most, I think, stereotypical way. I'm Joe, here from my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
We have Louis le Bègue. Le Bègue is one of those kings that the French don't think about. But what's funny is that players of Crusader Kings 2 apparently think about a lot for some reason. It's pretty funny. No, I'm serious. Like, for some reason, he got used a lot as a character in Crusader Kings 2. He was the son of Charles Le Chauve, and Charles Le Chauve was the successor in Francia Occidentale. Now, Louis was crowned Louis II in 877, or 877. He was the first to call himself Roi de Franc Occidental. He had a brother who died in 866. The other brother, Carloman, had rebelled and been blinded by his father and put in the abbey of Colby. He was later released but posed no threat to his brother. Frère. Mais Bègue was not a very good... his health was not very good, and he was not a very good monarch. He tried in 862 to marry his concubine, Anscalde, without his father's consent, and then caved to pressure to repudiate her in favor of Adelaide, daughter of Adelhard, a lord from Bourgogne. Hugues l'Abbé remained the mainstay of royal government, and was called the Ducatus Regni, director of the realm. He also directed such great films as... I'm joking. No, you're used to thinking about that term in English in that context. Actually, it's closer to a title like Duke of the Realm. And the thing is, Louis was to favor his own clique. And the main method he favored them through, I guess you could say, was through the grant of lands in return for allegiance. He was very generous with comté, domain territories. And the thing is, he faced ever-increasing Viking raids and came to rely on a greater number of seigneurs locaux, magnates of his realm. And in the south, Bernard de Gothia refused to recognize Louis and basically acted like an independent guy. And Louis constructed an alliance and defeated Bernard. His lands were seized and passed to other nobles rather than to the king. So Louis failed to exert proper influence over the region. Basson, Louis's brother-in-law, also rebelled. I just misread that. Basson was brother-in-law to Charles Le Chauve and controlled most of Bourgogne and Provence. And Charles had made Basson Duc d'Italie, Duke of Italy, and had married the daughter of the Emperor Louis II. But the thing is, and this Louis II is a different one from Le Bègue, just to be clear. Because there's two Louis here. You know what? I'm going to say there's Louis II and then there's Ludwig. I'll say Ludwig II. It'll be easier for to keep these two apart. So you have Louis and you have Ludwig. Ludwig's daughter married Basson, and Charles Le Chauve was thus brother-in-law to Basson, Duc d'Italie. And in turn, you have Louis, who is the son of Charles Le Chauve. I hope this makes it ever more clear. I just wanted to go over all this just to make sure. And there Oh, great! There's another Ludwig that enters the ring. Okay, uh, I really have to apologize to our audience. Okay, in 878, Ludwig the Younger, the son of Ludwig the German, Louis and Ludwig the Younger, that is to say, the son of Ludwig the German, meet at Fouron, and they agree upon another division of East and West. Namely, they recognize the current borders and situation and each other's kingships. Robert le Fort, who had emerged under Charles le Chauve as a major force, is not around anymore. And his sons will end up going some way towards serving Louis. And you have in 879, on April 10th, Louis dies, which is not good for it's not good for the Carolingians, because what this does is it disperses their lands across more sons, namely Louis III, who's the son of Louis Bègue, Carloman II, and Charles le Simple, or Charles Simplex. Now, we're going to get into these kings for a minute. Louis III is someone who reigns from 879 to 882. Doesn't reign for very long. Carloman reigns from 879 to 884. And both are born from the first union of Louis le Bègue. Whoops, nearly got two of them confused. Louis le Bègue thus had three sons, two from his first marriage with Ansgar, and then one from his second one. Now his son from Adelaide is born posthumously. But I know he's called Simple, or Simple, or Simplex, but it's not that Simple was stupid. Now we tend to think of simple to mean stupid. This was not at all what he was like. He was actually a pretty smart ruler. But, he basically, I think, outsmarted himself later in his life. But it should be simply translated as Charles the Straightforward. He was straightforward and a little obnoxious. Okay, I say a little obnoxious. Okay, how do I put it? You know how obnoxious us French are? Imagine someone we call obnoxious. So, obnoxious even for us. So, yeah. Arguably, he's the living definition of the stereotype Americans love to rag on and on about us French. I'm joking. Yeah, please keep doing it. We don't mind.
He just wanted people to get to the point.
Yeah, but he did it too much himself. People want him to be a little more polite. And here's the thing. French society and culture has always been polite. Imagine a king who's obnoxious towards you and rude. You're not going to like him very much, because politeness is a core component to the culture. But anyways, Charles, interestingly, most sons born in a regency period, and even I've noticed, most sons of single mothers either end up becoming kind of addicts or something, so they become very effeminate, or they become overly macho. They dance between the two extremes. When I say overly macho, I mean like working out, becoming gym bros. A lot of them do read too much, maybe. Well, if there's such a thing, and basically just overemphasize their masculinity. They overdo it. They either become overly effeminate or overly masculine. And this is a core component of their search for masculinity. And we have to understand that Charles Now, if you look at him as a historic figure, he became overly macho. This is a contrast to Louis XIV, who became effeminate. And I know people say, oh, Louis XIV was not effeminate. Oh, he was. Louis XIV was overly effeminate and a self-indulgent druggie and sex addict. He ran France into the ground. Interesting fun fact, his dad was also the son of a single mom for all intents and purposes, because Henri IV died when Louis XIII was very young, about 9 years old. But interestingly, Louis XIII would go on to become a workaholic who loved hunting, war, and was overly macho in some key areas. Contrary to the effeminate picture we see in Les Trois Mousquetaires, Louis XIII was a macho gym bro. So we have there within that line, the sub-dynasty of the Capetiens, Louis XIII and Louis XIV, who stand as contrasts. One was a gym bro, the other was a sex addict. These represent two extremes of this behavior in men when they only have their mothers. And it's just something I've noticed that happens. Charles did this and basically became the 10th century equivalent of a gym bro. But he ended up so obnoxious, he annoyed his subjects. He was not a good king, to put it lightly. But he was a human being with some issues. I suspect that he kind of missed Daddy, because he never knew his father. I wonder who became his father figure. I do kind of wonder about that. And he also had to watch and bear witness to other men usurping his throne because he was too young to be king. So they took his throne, took his title, and he was basically just a foster son. That must have been humiliating growing up. So Charles is a very complex, very fascinating figure, despite the little we know about him. Louis III, though, would succeed to the throne in 879, as I already noted. And Hugues l'Abbé, the successor of Robert le Fort. Hugues is someone who supported Louis XIII, and Hugues was the strongest vassal in the realm, but he was also the abbot of a large monastery. And to my knowledge, he was celibate. So he was, I think, a warrior monk, which just that sounds cool. Now, the thing is, at Vienne in 880, sorry, I keep slipping back into Francais. Les Carolingian survivors met and agreed upon the division. Ludwig would keep Austrasie, Louis III would keep Neustrie in Lesser France, or Petite France, in effect, Francia, while Carloman II received the south with Bourgogne and Aquitaine. He shouldn't have, but he did. Because, vive la France, la douce France éternelle. Both sons of Louis le Bègue were crowned at Ferrières, I should say, that's how it's pronounced. Carloman II immediately faced problems from Bosson, who declared himself king of Provence, and sought to control Bourgogne. Hugues l'Abbé supported Louis III and was his chief commander as Marquis de la Marche des Bretons, or Marquis of the Breton March. Louis won an important victory over the Vikings at Saucourt in Picardy in 881, but he died a year later in 882 at Saint Denis. Now he was this is a funny way to die. He was not being a very charitable young man. He was not a good young boy. He was being naughty. He was a very naughty boy, as it said in in Life of Brian. He's very naughty. He was chasing a young woman. Okay, it's just I say it and I keep laughing. He was chasing a young woman into her house while on horseback and banged his head on a low lintel beam and died.
Dude, get off the horse.
Also, as the feminist would put it, no means no. like, you know, banged his head on the door beam. It's like, my man, mon gars, what are you doing?
Well, he didn't have much brains to scramble.
Yeah. I guess one could say, well, picking on him is pretty low-hanging fruit.
I'm banging my head against the wall on that one.
My gosh. You know, like, I should pity him, but he was trying to violate some innocent maiden, and it's like, bang! Well, I guess God didn't want him to do it.
Probably one of the most embarrassing ways a ruler could go.
You know what? Let's say this. I think this is probably the most embarrassing way any king has died in history. Banged his head on the door beam. You know, like, how do I put it? Some kings die gloriously. I mean, let's look at who's one that died gloriously. Let me see. I'm genuinely thinking here. You've got... Oh, you know what? The King of Bohemia in the 100 Years' War. He died pretty darn gloriously. You've got... let's see. Henri IV died pretty... a pretty interesting death when he was stabbed to death by a monk when he was distracted. You have Henri II de la France. He died in a joust. It's pretty cool way to go. Although, sadly, he left the realm to the most incompetent female ruler in French history, Catherine de Medici.
Medici.
Yeah. A Jewish princess, as we might call her. I'm joking there. Actually, she was a banker. You never trust a banker with a country. I'm serious there. But you have, you know, the two Henri, they died pretty well. You have the King of Bohemia, John of Bohemia, died really well. Oh, you do have the Duke of Clarence at Beaujeu. He died really well. Like, no, he charged. He charged against the superior Scoto-French forces. Louis III, a door beam. Like, you know, there were some Roman emperors who died in the field of battle. Not Louis III. No, that's too dignified for him.
Even Edward II has a more dignified end than this.
Yeah, snuffed out by a pillow.
Yeah.
Like, at least he probably did try to survive and fight off his executioners. We can say he died more dignified. Although, let's be honest, he didn't reign in a very dignified manner.
Oh, no.
But freaking door beam. Think of the dignity of the crown. La dignité de la couronne de la France. Door beam. Well, never mind. His head must have been ringing from that one.
Splitting headache.
Okay, so Carloman succeeds in the west, taking over for him. Okay. Defeats the Norsemen at Avaux, just north of Reims, in 882, but reigned till 884 when he in turn died young, 17 or 18. Now, get this. He was wounded in the leg and then died. Now, he died due to a leg wound from hunting in the forest of Lyon. Now, that's a very peculiar note in the history books. He died on a hunt from a leg injury in the forest of Lyon. Obviously foul play.
Yeah, that's the thing. A king goes to hunt, dies, and comes back.
Well, comes back and dies?
99% of the time.
Because if it works the other way, the problem is there's the Lord's hand involved. If he dies on the hunt and comes back, either he's undead or, God's with him. But in this situation...
It's like, it's suspect.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Let me check something. Okay, it looks like it was under the property or management of Basson, Carloman's rival. So he was hunting in the forest near where Basson ruled, got a leg injury, we're told, and died. Well, at least we know who the murder culprit was. No, who else? What else can we say? He died of foul play. There's no other explanation. No, I'm not going to say there's a foul play involved in every death on a hunt. Sometimes you just get unlucky. Now, for example, Philippe le Bel went to go hunting, fell off a horse, broke his leg, and ended up in bed because the wound festered. Ooh. But then he caught, I think, some sort of fever or something. And just one health complication after another and died. That was Philippe le Bel. But Carloman died under very questionable circumstances when near the area where his rival ruled. A perfectly healthy young gent. That's not at all weird. Now, this left Charles in a bad way. He was only 5, and he's the last of the descendants of Charles le Chauve, the last of the sons of Louis le Bègue. The central administration of the Carolingians immediately collapses. Basically, the government collapses in a way we've not seen since, 1945, for the most part. So, this is something that, that said, there was also to be a decline in the use of Missi Dominici, and there was no royal capitularies that survived after 888. None were issued. Coinage declined in quality and quantity around this time. And by the time of the last Carolingien, only Reims continued to mint royal coins. And kings would thereafter rarely travel outside their restricted power base. With good reason. Reims, parts of Lotharingie, and Laon remained the final bastions of the Carolingians. And so this is the situation facing the Carolingians in the West. The next ruler to really kind of assert himself is the famous Charles le Gros. Charles le Fat. And then it'll be Eudes, who is the first Robertien or non-Carolingien king. And then it'll be the return of the king, Charles. And of course you'll have Robert le Premier, the younger brother of Eudes. And the trouble is, as the 10th century will progress, we are going to start seeing new power bases emerge and new powerful figures come out and about As some might joke that we Canadians would say, out in a boot. But the thing is, this is a very fascinating period, but this is also arguably the Warring States period of France, wherein France just descends into utter chaos. Now, to understand the import of this collapse, total collapse in central authority, you have to understand that also at the same time, the collapse of the monarchy, I almost said monarchy, of the monarchy, a monarchy that's technically stood since 482. So from 482, we had Childeric and his lineage, and then the Carolingiens. So from 482 all the way up to 884, we have had a consistent, ongoing state, really. Total collapse now. And the kings are going to struggle to assert any kind of authority, any kind of governmental, just anything. And they have to fight with their subjects and kill just to retain and even gain territory. So that in this way, France truly... Now, France was already succumbing to civil war. But now she falls wholly and completely into open warfare within her borders. Interestingly, over in East Francia, the situation's not going to reach that fever pitch just yet. It'll just be 4 or 5 years until it does. And then once it does, this is where they're not as well off. They get invaded by Avars and Slavs and whatnot. They get invaded by Eastern barbarians. So that's where the German story takes a very different twist. The Germans are in danger of losing their nation, of losing themselves. And who should arise? But Othon le Grand, Othon le Rouge, or Otto, as he's also known, the first Holy Roman Emperor. So, this is a very important era for these two nations, because really, this represents the founding, in a way, of Germany, which is founded by Othon in the 10th century, which is really cool.
And people say European history is boring.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine why anyone would say that. And, of course, you have on France's end, or Francia, you have, the collapse of the kingship. And trust me, it's going to keep collapsing, and the Warring States period will last until about La Bataille de Bouvines in 1214 on July, 27th, I believe. Juillet 27. Oui, dimanche, a Sunday. Quite auspicious. So, that is to say that arguably the Warring States period really starts now. So 884 to 1214. So if you want to calculate it, that's 100, 200, no, 300 and 30 years thereabouts. Yeah, 330 years of Warring States period. This is longer than the Japanese Warring States period, far longer than the Chinese one. This is a lengthy period. I would argue this is kind of the Dark Age. But the nation that pulls itself out from this mire is going to be a very different one than it was before. And it's going to be a much more beautiful one. And it's ultimately going to be a much more European, but also a much more Celtic, much more Catholic, much more culturally powerful and significant nation. So, until next time, toodles, or au revoir, And don't forget to smash that like, that subscribe button, and if you're checking us out on Substack, don't bother. You're already here. But if you're not already on Substack, check out our Substack and subscribe to the Brothers Corinne. And if you're already subscribed, you can upgrade your subscription to the $8 subscription for a full year's subscription, because honestly, it would go a long way towards helping us with our novels. We would really appreciate that. So until next time, stay cool. Reste français.
Oh, 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 sacré bleu.
So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button here on YouTube, but also the link to our Royal Road account will be pinned in the comment section down below. I hope a few of you will check out some of our books because, well, we work really hard on them. So until next time, do take care.